Sebastian Griffin, how are you, sir?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Are you the youngest city councilman in the city of Nampa?
Ever.
Fantastic.
Currently and ever. So
you're an old soul, though. Listen to me.
Appreciate
you
it.
and I first connected on the Valley Regional Transit issue because Valley Regional Transit has it's like the 40 line or something, right?
Mm-hmm. The 42.
The 42 that goes all the way from like Caldwell through Nampa, all the way Meridian and into Boise. And your issue is, hey, look, we're spending hundreds of thousands of dollars in the city of Nampa, and we're not like you rode the bus for 5 weeks because you go to law school in downtown Boise, and you're like, look, I rode the bus for 5 weeks, me and 2 other people. That's it. Like no one else got on. And, again, we had a great conversation about that. I also was very fortunate to have Valley Regional Transit come on and articulate what their vision is and what they're working on. But you're back today because a lot of things are happening with growth in the Treasure Valley, and you very much believe in property rights. You also feel that there are problems with existing developments that could be addressed or assisted with further development. Help me understand what's going on in Nampa, which is like an incredibly quick, fast growing city, right? Like you're the 3rd largest in the state of Idaho.
We're the 3rd largest.
There it
and
is.
That's what's so unique about Nampa. If you look at our area impact map, we're growing, and we're growing out the seams, north, south, west, east. We have areas that grow everywhere. The south we've avoided because we do intend and plan to preserve ag ground. That's our seed farming. We don't want to touch it. So to the west, to the east, to the north, we're just growing. I think we'll likely pass Meridian in the sense of population. I don't know how long it'll be, but with Highway 16 opening up and the corridor all the way to Emmett, we've got a lot of growth coming in. So in the sense of development in Nampa, absolutely, I think you articulated it well. Nampa for a long time has been where you go to do cheap development. In 2007, 2008, 2009, people were grabbing land for cheap, getting plat approvals and just never touching it. So we're now facing on the...
May I say something real
Sure.
fast? You're saying like cheap as in price, not bad development.
No.
You're not saying Nampa's full of like trash houses.
No.
Great. I just wanted, because I was like, geez, Nampa's not so bad.
No. And I love Nampa. I truly believe Nampa is the greatest city in the state.
You're on the board of the rodeo. You jumped on a bull, baby.
I have done bull riding. I've ridden in the Cuna Rodeo twice, and I like to go out to Parma and Homedale and ride every couple times there too. So
do you worry about your hair when you're bull riding? Because it's so pristine. Like do you wear the you have a hat on?
Helmet. Oh no, I wear a helmet. Yeah, no.
The vest, the whole thing.
I might be dumb enough to get on a bull, but I'm not dumb enough just to wear a cowboy hat while I ride. So no. Yeah.
That would be my play for sure. Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah, so for a long time it's been we can go and we can develop homes at a minimum cost. I shouldn't say cheap, inexpensively. We can build inexpensively, not compared to Boise, Meridian, Eagle. It's just different. What's unique about Nampa and the city of Nampa, we're really a one-stop shop for city services. Just recently, we moved fire to fire district, but other than that, we take care of streets, we take care of police, we take care of public works, we're over parks and rec, and that all falls within the city budget. There's 3 roles of a city council member: planning and zoning and approval of development, our ordinances, the laws that happen within the city, and budget. Those are the 3 main things. So that's that side of it. In the case of development, we have a huge responsibility with the amount of growth coming in now. We have a huge demand and very little supply. So when I campaigned, and it's still true today, we need smart growth in Nampa. And I feel that I've now been on for a year. We've had projects that we've approved, and I'm very excited to see go through and see what happens with those. And we've had projects that we've denied because the timing's not right. It's not conducive to the area, all the reasons that we have to go through. And so that's what we're facing in Nampa. So the argument is, how do we, on one side of the coin, stop growth, stop development, preserve our ag land, which is an important discussion, and then on the other side, build the homes that are necessary, fill the demand, increase supply, and allow property owners the right to develop. So it's a really tough issue.
One thing, though, that I think gets left out is the idea that you have to stop growth to preserve ag land, and it's like stopping growth means actually more than one thing, right? Stopping growth as in you don't want more houses or homes available for people within a certain area, or stopping people from moving to that area, right? Like these are two different things. Preservation of ag land is also very important economically. Like
Absolutely.
if you lose the tax base that functional ag land provides, you're in a real pickle. For every dollar of city services that are required by an acre of ag land, you get back, I think, like $2.40 or something like that. You get a big jump, right? So it's a net positive to the county, because in reality, like you don't require that if you have one farmer on large acreage, that farmer is not going to require that much in city services, but the revenue that comes out of that will be a net benefit compared to just residential, stuff like just R1 or R4 or whatever housing, normal housing. That's a net drain on city budgets with, city services and whatnot. So like we need to keep the ag. If we're making a budget, it's like, okay, we have to have ag preserved here somehow, because if not, the tax burden of supplying all the services required will fall. Then a greater portion will fall on the residents, right? So we have to preserve this. We also don't, nobody here wants to lose the style of life that they've enjoyed. So stopping growth is this really nebulous thing. It's like, do we really want to like stop people from moving here, or do we just want to figure out some way to accommodate everyone without losing our economic base of agriculture and without crowding out everyone so we have skyscrapers in the middle of each town?
That's right. So, and that's the crux of the whole question. And so it really comes, we can cut it up into parts, but I think you explained it well where we're at. And really, if we want to get a real tax collection, it's going to be on light industrial, having these commercial businesses. We just approved Tractor Supply in Nampa. It was a hot topic. And so
what are they, if I may ask, what are they building in Nampa?
A distribution center. They have 11 throughout the country. One and
now one's coming to Nampa.
Now one's coming to Nampa, and it was a tough discussion. In Nampa, I believe it's either 60 or 80 gallons. You can store 60 to 80 gallons of explosive or flammable material within a storage area or distribution. So what happened with Tractor Supplies, they came to us and said, we need a conditional use. We need the approval to have a little more than the 60 or 80 gallons at a time.
How much is it? We need 5,000 gallons of explosive oil.
They needed 68,000.
There it is.
Yeah, they needed 68 gallons.
I need a little bit more than what's slaughtered.
But they did a good job. They really did do their due diligence for the area, what they could do, the traffic impact. In my opinion, they went above and beyond, and that's controversial. So we'll avoid that for now. Sure. But no, in development, and what's really tough, and this is where I say there's a property rights balance to it. For a long time, many generations, a seed farmer can be growing, planting, harvesting, doing what they're doing, and their kids don't want to participate, or their grandkids don't want to participate, and it's their retirement. So where do we get to say, as government, as city officials, you do not get to retire. You do not get to sell your land to a developer. You do not get to do that. You're going to continue farming. We don't, and we do not get that right.
One really important point on this. I spoke with a gentleman who is a lifelong Idaho guy. He AJ Osborne, and he does luxury developments for like RV storage, right? Like that's not important. But what he was talking about is people commonly object to, RV storage. Everybody wants RV storage. They just don't want it close to them. They want to,
NIMBY, not in my backyard.
100%. And his articulation of like, when you reject something like that from somebody who's engaged in ag, you're forcing labor upon that person. And it took me a while to really understand. But the bottom line is like, if you have a plot of land that you have been working, as you're saying, growing seed, doing whatever, and your kids don't want to take it over and you want to retire, one, you're robbing that person of the capacity to retire. Right, because they're like, look,
it's their greatest investment. It's their greatest investment.
Let's say it's worth $2 million, and like I need that $2 million to move on with my life and retire and live it out. The other problem that you run into is even if you walk away from that, you still have taxes and costs associated with that land. Well, how are you going to recoup that? Like, where are you going to get that money? Even if you want to retire and stop working, you have to work the land in order to pay for property taxes and stuff. right? Like you are literally forcing labor onto someone to make up the delta on what they have to spend on, again, property tax. It's like this is like indentured servitude. You can't force somebody to work for this other, if they want to get rid of it and they want to, anyway.
Well, and it's funny, and I'll tie it to something that's real popular in pop culture. The show Yellowstone. What's the crux of the whole problem on the Dutton family preserve in Yellowstone? It's property taxes. They're going to lose it because they cannot afford to pay the property taxes.
Well, I thought it was because I had a crazy daughter, but whatever.
Beth is something, but that's the issue. You have kids, grandkids that, number one, not because they're lazy, not because they're part of the Gen Z mentality, because they became doctors, accountants, lawyers. They went and did trade businesses. They're accomplishing their goals and their aspirations because they were raised up well. And in my opinion, there's no better way than raising your kids with work ethic and responsibility. So now they're going and they're benefiting our community and our economy in different ways. Old grandpa doesn't have a 401k because he worked the land his whole life. He doesn't have a Roth IRA unless he met with an estate planner early on and said, it's time to save. That land is his treasure trove. He's ready to retire, and it's time for him to enjoy his life because he did a lot for us. This is where it gets really tricky. What happens with that land? What are we going to do next? We can't force somebody. It's their right to be able to sell to a developer. It's a right for a developer who paid top dollar for the land to do something with it. That's where we come in, and that's where I believe, and in my opinion, the proper role of government is requiring the most and the best quality product that can be produced within the area. And that's then where we discuss development agreements and the issues surrounding that. In Idaho code, it's an Idaho code 676511A talks about development agreements.
676511A.
Yes, 11 is planning and zoning, and then 11A is development agreements. And in Nampa, it's Title 10. Whenever we have an issue, we're always going to Title 10. We have the ability, when somebody annexes into the city, when they have a PUD, a huge development that they're trying to bring in, when they have a CUP, a conditional use permit, they're trying to do something that's outside the scope, so they need special approval. There's a couple other things. We get the opportunity to implement development agreements. What's that? We have say on exactly what happens to that project to an extent to ensure that it's bettering the community, going to be a net positive, as you said, for the tax base. It's not going to deteriorate everybody else's property taxes around them, and that we have the infrastructure ready to go. And that's where we really have to look hard at these things and say, you know what? For a long time, Nampa was where we went to build inexpensive products because people out there want to just pay bare dollar. They don't want the luxuries of Hidden Springs or Eagle, and they can't afford it. That's not the case anymore. People want to be in Nampa. People want to build in Nampa. People like the lifestyle and the politics of Nampa.
Dude, you guys have the best Mexican food in the valley, in my opinion.
Ever. Us and Caldwell, we're competing there.
Yeah, it's and you also have the egg factory, which is like the greatest
breakfast place.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I went out to Murphy with one of my sons over the summer to go catch lizards. And dude, they were really fast too. Like we didn't catch anything. It's not like lazy California bluebellies. Like these guys were hustling. I was like, I've never seen it.
California bluebellies. Never heard of that.
Yeah. So like these bluebelly lizards, like they're like sunning on the rock. They're like, man, and like you grab them, they're like, oh, what are you doing? Like, oh, take my tail, right? Like, but you can grab them with your hand. It's no problem. These guys in the desert were like, not today, Santa, not today. Like, get the hell. And they ran for us. I was like, anyway, but the point is afterwards, we went to the egg factory. I was like, this is lit. Like, this is the best. You know what it reminded me of? It was like the Star Cafe, except in Nampa. It was like, this is great. There's a giant chicken on top.
Yep.
I'm sure the prices have doubled because of eggs, but like you have some awesome things in Nampa.
Well, you're seeing some real growth happening in Nampa. We've got some amazing restaurants. We've got some amazing businesses. We have an industrial district where we're producing, we're supplying the whole valley. We have Amazon out there now. That's a huge contributor. We have the Fort Idaho Center where we're having the Snake River Stampede, and every concert known to man is coming to our amphitheater to be able to perform, and people are coming in droves. Nampa's a place to be.
Isn't that where I saw Jordan Peterson. Didn't he go to the Ford Idaho Center?
Yeah. I believe so. I don't think it was the Morrison Center. I think it was the Ford Idaho Center.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
That was a great time. The problem is like he has so much content online and I've been greatly benefited and enjoyed from his commentary over the last, I don't know, like 8 years or something, that like the stuff he talked about, I'm like, I heard you say this like 3 times already. Yeah. Like I get it, the belly of the whale.
He's excited to talk about it again.
Yeah, I'm like, all right, man, whatever. Yeah. It is what it is. Anyway, so yeah, things are happening in Nampa. People want to develop. And again, to your point, it is not the role of Nampa to establish property rights for the state of Idaho. The role of Nampa and the capacity that Nampa has in this conversation is to say like, okay, you can develop, right? I'm not saying you can. I'm just saying the state says you can develop. I can't stop you, and I'm not trying to stop you. What I am trying to say is if you're going to develop here, you're going to have to adhere to these things that benefit the surrounding areas, that don't screw up the tax base, and help overall establish a better city.
That's right. And the argument can be made, and this is where I've had it over the year. They say, wow, we thought you were going to stop growth. And I said, I never said I was going to stop growth. I said, I'm going to implement smart growth. There's growth and there's smart growth. If an application comes before us and they did the bare minimum, I'm not going to rubber stamp them and say, congratulations, enjoy. No. And I don't think our council wants that, frankly. We want to see real developments, Harris Ranch style developments happening in Nampa, because we have plots of land that people picked up in 2007, 8, 9 for the bare minimum, 150, 200, 100 acres. They're developing at high density levels, and we're allowing them to, but what are we going to get back? What is going to be the community benefit by allowing this to happen? And we can make an argument. When they come before us, we can make an argument either way. If we frankly really wanted to stop a development, we could find things that are true issues. Traffic's a real issue. The impact fees are not offsetting what we're able to spend in the sense of public safety to an extent. We're in a really tight spot budget-wise of maintaining, not increasing our tax collection on property taxes. So we have to weigh, okay, are we receiving enough to offset it where it's net zero, where we don't see an increase on the property tax assessment? The budget's going to keep going up, but we're accounting for that with the growth. So now, where do we make the argument? And it's in saying there has to be added value, and the development agreements allow us to add the added value. One of the things that we heard this.
Can I ask you a question real fast? When you talk about Harris Ranch style developments, totally understand Harris Ranch is beautiful.
Sure.
100%. If Nampa was the location where people could come in and get housing that wasn't an astronomical price,
sure,
and the housing that you're requesting or designing now is a Harris Ranch, like beautiful properties, right? But these are not what people would describe as like entry level or economically sensitive properties. Where's the location, excuse me, for the entry level Nampa citizen, where the children that are born and raised in Nampa and now adults are like, I need to get a house.
Sure.
My family's lived here forever. Like I know a lot of people from Nampa, and they're like, this is really getting expensive. How do we address this? Because the only developments, and again, the argument will go, the only developments the city's allowing are these like, kind of McMansion style things. I'm not saying like Harris Ranch is bad or anything.
No. So there's a balance, and this is where the balancing act happens. When I say Harris Ranch style, I don't mean McMansions. I mean infrastructure, landscaping, amenities. We want a place that's a quality place to live. If I want to go play pickleball, I don't want to have to drive 7 miles to a pickleball court.
Are you a pickleball guy?
I am a pickleball guy. I love pickleball.
I kick it. I went the other way. Instead of going like large ping pong, we have a mini ping pong table that's only 6 feet long. Nope. It's fantastic.
Old school.
No, listen to me. We have a trophy in my house. We actually have a ping pong trophy that like whoever wins the Sunday tournament between me and my wife, I get it on my bedside table, or she does. Like, but hilarious. It's a mini table, baby. Like it's ferocious. This ball's just flying around this little like Tinker Toy thing.
No, I got the Selkirk. I go out there. Me and the Metal Club team, we like to play. So the Harris Ranch style in the sense of amenities. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to be passing on an astronomical cost, because there are still developments that we're allowing that are only 6,000 square foot lots. That's what I currently live in. I'm an entry level. I've got a wife. a kid, one on the way.
1.5.
1.5.
Congratulations.
Yes, sir. And so we're on a 6,000 square foot lot, and it's manageable. Retirees want something manageable. So we need the difference of, okay, we can't afford the property taxes of a 16,000 square foot lot, nor do we need the space for 4 to 5 bedrooms. That's our entry level, but it's within the development that you want to be in.
With pickleball.
With pickleball.
With pickleball.
With a pool, with these natural scape parks, all kinds of great things, great amenities that they're adding. But they're adding those because we've imposed those. I'm sure if Nampa didn't change the direction, and they changed before I was on here, so I'm not taking credit for this, but they set the standard that we're not just going to pass a slap and stick, put them as many deep and close together as you can. That's not what we want in Nampa. And we can still provide entry-level or retirement-style homes within Nampa, within these developments, because then we place higher density in the center and larger lots on the outside, and then it balances itself out and compensate for the developer to still make lots of money, and they are, to be able to do this. So that's what we need to require. We need to require detached sidewalks. We need to require that they have berms on the outset of their development, because nobody wants to see a sea of plastic vinyl fencing.
Right.
We're over it. We want to see landscaping, beautifying the area. We want sidewalks connecting our city. We want walking paths and trails within Nampa. And we have an integrated system that our great parks department has put together that we're requiring developers to build out for us. That's what we need to be doing as a city.
Yeah, and if I may ask, when you reference people saying, "Hey, Sebastian, I thought you were going to stop growth,"
Mm-hmm.
like, where is this commentary coming from? Because that's not within the purview of any city council to just stop growth. Like, we have property rights. Like, there was this really crazy experience, or like when I first realized that there were like weird things going on in my former state of California. There was this rancher that lived next to huge rolling hills. I lived in Danville and had the little tiny, like 1,700 square foot house. It was fine.
Perfect.
It was perfect.
A starter home.
Especially for little kids. Like, I had a hill in my backyard. Like, I had a flat backyard, and then it was a cut and fill lot. So there was a portion of the hill. Dude, my boys, we had to get them contractor grade shovels, because they would go up, like, people would get them like kid shovels. They'd break them in a day, because they were up there I'm Mexican. I'm Mexican. They were hustling, digging like crazy, right? They're like a quarter Mexican, because I'm 50%. The point is, we had this beautiful, little spot, very small, but there was also this large property that was the McGee Ranch. Okay, and the McGees had these cows that they would run over, and like, we all walking to school, we would see the cows. They're like, "Hey, cow!" It's like right on the other side of the fence. And the point is, at one point when my kids were still going to the public school, and we yanked them out pretty quickly, but when they were still going to public school, all of this big hoopla happened because the McGees were trying to change the zoning of their property to allow for certain development. And the existing zoning also allowed for development. It actually allowed for a larger scale development with fewer amenities and obligations.
Higher density.
Right. And so they were reducing the density, but asking for a couple other things. And people lost their minds. And it was like, guys, this isn't your property. This has been in the McGee family for a long time. They've been running cattle and doing all kinds of things on this. And the deal they're offering the city is better than what exists right now for them. Like, what is happening?
Yep.
And it was bonkers. And that started my education with, like, hey, when you live here, you don't really own your property. Like, the city or whoever makes the rules owns the property, and like, they're going to bring you to your knees. And they were there. We had to take it to like this city ballot initiative where like people voted on, I think it was like Measure Y, and it was insane. And they did get it passed, and they were able to, move forward. And I think the city was better for it because of all the things they were offering, including like walking spaces and trails and stuff. But that's a really bad way to end. That's a really bad position to get in, where you look at people and say like, no, I understand you've owned this. Doesn't matter. This is actually yours. You can't do what you want to do.
And that's what's so tough. There's absolutely winners and losers in development. And if you're on city council, you're always the loser. There's no balance. We're going to get the backlash, but we're blessed to be able to serve in that capacity because we've done the work to know what is important to our constituents. And that's when I went and knocked the 4,000 doors for my election and said, what's important to you? traffic, that bell's been rung for a long time, and it is a nightmare. And we're working diligently every day. That we have the integrated traffic command center where we're now watching light systems and changing them manually or setting trends and timers. Besides the point. And the other side of that was development and our public safety. How do we allow for tens of thousands of people to come in without being able to hire more police? How do we keep our spaces safe? These are all part of the bigger question. At the end of the day, it's just knowing and looking at, number one, if you are really concerned about an issue happening in your city, whether it be Nampa or Boise,
Sure.
wherever, go speak up. There's nothing more important to me as an elected official than the testimony of one of my constituents. Now, is it going to stop something from happening outright? No. One of the proudest things that we've done, and this was right near my home, we had 156 acres right across the street. I could have thrown a potato right back into its field.
I see what you did there.
And so, taking that, 156, it was 600 homes planned. There was ingress and egress spaces where cars were coming out, and there's already landowners and farmers and property owners that are directly on these outtakes where cars are going to be flashing right in their bedroom window,
right,
day in, day out, all night long, in and out from 600 homes. And they said, we know that this is going to happen. They've been trying to do this for years. Please consider shifting over one of those entry points so we don't have to get beamed every 5 seconds from a car going in and out. I said, this is a really important issue, and we're going to make that happen. And I'm confident in saying that because I'll vote no on projects for something like that. If it is not conducive to the area, that's
Right.
one of our key components. Is it conducive? Is the timing right? Is the traffic going to be too much? Is it going to burden the school? So on. So we talked to our engineer. We talked to the developer. We actually had to continue this project. It's called the Adura project. We continued it. And we said, here's all the issues that the neighbors have stated that we're concerned about. I want to berm. I live right near there. I want to see landscaping and beautification, not another 600 homes. That's something me as a property owner directly across want. And I happen to serve on city council. So neighbors came out, testimony was made. It makes the difference when you get involved. And we ended up passing it. It's going to have a pool, 6 pickleball courts, fire pits, a minimum of a 12-foot berm with trees along the top and then fencing tucked behind it. It's going to be a really amazing project for our city. And they're going to have entry-level homes within that development. Something that I'm excited to see my classmates, when they come back, if they can, live in, because that's who it affects, is these entry-level homeowners. We want to be in Nampa. This is our home. We're proud to be here. We can't afford it. Why? Because there's not enough supply to offset the demand. And when supply's low and demand's high, what happens? Cost goes through the roof. It's basic economics. So we have this very delicate balance that we have to keep. What do we expect for our future growth? How does this all be weighed? It's through public discussion. Get involved. Get involved. Attend the city council. If you can't attend, email us, talk to us, reach out to your elected officials.
Where does going off on a rant on Facebook factor into your get involved? Because I think
No.
that's like the preferred mechanism
And it's
of
not.
having your voice heard by exactly no one.
No, and I think
When I see rants, I'm like, oh, bless you, dude. If you just wrote an email, like just copy and paste what you wrote and send that directly to somebody. The upside is the person will receive it.
Yep.
The downside is no one's going to view it. Like nobody's going to be able to like pile on. You're not going to have this public thing, but it will be effective in actually hitting the target.
That's
and,
right.
and I think people get so taken by having other people know what they have communicated. It's like, can you just send the email and take a screenshot of the email as it goes out and then post that?
Yep.
But just make sure the email goes out first so that you can actually communicate directly and you have an opportunity to engage with city council and people and have questions answered. It doesn't mean that the project will always go. I was having this conversation with somebody about the speed council at the state level where they're like, we don't want these projects. Like, look, we need energy. That the state of Idaho needs energy. That's it. Like we're growing. Energy is more expensive. The only way to squash the cost of energy and like stop the skyrocketing issues are to provide more energy and provide it as cleanly and easily and affordably as possible.
Yeah.
That's it. We need energy.
Yeah.
And nobody wants, like, there's no energy project that people want. There's no preferred piece of energy, like every single
Especially
energy.
not the lava wind project. We
Well,
definitely don't want that.
Okay, but this is a perfect example. Check this out. Lava Ridge did nothing for Idaho.
No.
We got stuck with 700 plus feet windmills. The energy was being created by an out-of-state entity, and it was being shipped to California.
Yep.
That's bad all over the place.
Yep.
Okay. But what about projects that are wind projects that benefit Idaho? What about projects that are solar projects that benefit Idaho? Hydro, like geothermal, like all of these things. We need all of it.
Potentially nuclear.
God bless it, dude.
I'm
getting INL on. They're going to tell me all about it. But the point is, like, we need these projects. Public comment needs to be integrated. But just because, like, if we want to solve this problem, if you and I have, like, you know, we're at the top. We have our gavels. It's like me and you, which is like, we're like, okay, we're going to fix the power problem in the state of Idaho. But the rule is the second one person objects, we have to scratch the project. It's like, we would never, ever make it to one project. So it's not that public comment will always stop projects, but at the very least, it can be considered. And like you're saying, when you talk about headlights going to something, I have a dear friend who used to live in my neighborhood, and he bought his house. It was a gorgeous house. It had an incredible view, and he was like very excited about it. And I was like, God, dude, you did it. Like, this house is baller, like way nicer than my house. Awesome. Good for you. You've got 2 little kids. You know what they did? The community, the HOA dropped right in front of his house. He was living on the end of a court. I was like, dude, you nailed it. You got a court spot. This is great. It's like his kids are, you know, riding their dumb little bikes all around. They got these like Nerf guns. They're having all these. I was taking my kids over to hang out in the court. I was like, this court is lit. We fire pitted in the middle of the court. Like, it was like, this is great. You know what they did, man? They put one of the community mailboxes right in front of his house. Now, the front portion of his house is all windows. So he said, first off, destroyed the court. Because now you had like
it's a traffic
50
zone.
people coming, 100 people coming. It's traffic zone. And at night, he's like, night comes in the winter, 4:35, it's dark, and you just have high beams because people want the light on the mailbox so they can see what they're doing, shining directly into his front window. That goes directly into his living room and where his family's trying to watch TV and hang out, right? And he's like, it destroyed the court. We bought this because it was a court. Like, could you put it on the corner at the entrance? Like, you have done something else? So to your point of, look, we need people that are thinking about these issues, and we need to review these things. And if people bring forward like, hey, here's an issue. All of these high beams are going to be coming right into my house. Like, can you work on this? Yeah, let's take that into account.
I guarantee 90% of the time, when we're not directly affected by it, we're not thinking about it.
Right.
When we have people that actually have stake in the issue coming and presenting solutions to the problems, we're taking that and we're running with it. Now, is it the difference between ending a project or saving a project? I don't know. But it is the difference of adding more players into the game.
More considerations.
And understanding the full picture that I can't understand, or the rest of the council or mayor cannot comprehend all the issues that might come with the project. To your Facebook point, it's great to vent sometimes. And sometimes people want to be heard. And I'm on a chat for our neighborhood. And we have flooding happening throughout the neighborhood. And it's something where people go because they want community. Is this happening to others? Yes, this is happening to 43 of us in our neighborhood. What are we going to do about it? I don't know, but we're going to keep talking about it. No, bring these issues forward. Reach out to the developer. Reach out to the HOA, reach out to the city, reach out to your representatives. Find somebody that wants to hear you. It's fine to have a forum to talk about an issue, find a solution, find some common ground, to know that it's something that should be presented and bring it to us. That just happened in council. We had flooding, and I think it's a major issue that's going to be coming before us with all of our future developments. How are you helping prevent standing water, still water, flooding, all these issues in a development, and not putting the cost directly onto the consumer, the one who's buying the home. You should have a product that's ready to be purchased without issue for a new home buyer.
Right. I swear, Facebook is like the contemporary Fahrenheit 451. Like, like when the dude's wife is like in the kitchen with like the big screen and they're like all screaming and she's like, we solved things. He's like, what did you do? It's like, we made a bunch of noise. I feel so much better. He's like, but what, like, who did you talk to? She's like, oh, whatever. I was like, that's literally it. Like, yeah, you got a vent, but at the end of the day, it's not going to help anyone to just, you know, be screaming on Facebook. No. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I resolve problems in the wrong way. And that's really the key. But
why did it matter in this situation? I happen to be in that chat. Think of all the different chats that are out there on Facebook,
right,
that elected officials don't even know about.
Right.
So that's what we have to do as citizens, as taxpayers, as community members, is take the problem to the problem solver. And whether that be city council, whether that be HOA, whether it be county commission, whether it be your state rep, the more awareness that can be made in a positive, proper, not toxic or bomb throwing style, we can really solve problems together in development, in budgeting, in state issues, and local issues alike. And that's what we need from constituents, from residents, from everybody.
God bless you, Sebastian. Listen to me. I don't live in Nampa, but
you should.
Maybe I should. Maybe I should.
There's plenty of new neighborhoods for you to come and enjoy.
Yeah. Well, listen, I appreciate you. I really appreciate you coming in to explain these things. The struggles that Nampa is going through, I was going to say, I don't live in Nampa, but I know that these struggles are everywhere. I mean, it's Star, it's Middleton, it's, you know, Eagle, it's everywhere. Everyone's dealing with this, the growing population, because Idaho is so great. Mm-hmm. And we have to figure out ways. So listen, I know it's a school day for you. You got to zip back to law school downtown here. Thank you for coming in. Is there anything you'd like to say here at the end?
No, I think I appreciate the time being able to come on, and I think we're advocating. We're advocating for people. We're advocating for our constituents. Just the understanding that it sometimes is a balancing act, and more often than not, if we have concern, understanding, and we're presented with a problem that has a potential solution, we're likely to hear those issues and see that solutions are created from problems when people present those for us. So get involved, reach out, and make your voices heard.
Just send an email, man.
Send an email. I read my email.
Send an email, then take a picture of it, and then put it on Facebook.
Absolutely.
But just send the email first.
That's right.
Sebastian, thank you for coming in today, sir.
No worries. Thanks for having me.